This is In My Lounge Room, and I'm your host, Skye.
And I'm your other host, Damo, and on today's episode, we're talking about relationship types or dynamics.
Ooh. Hey, Damo.
Hey, Skye, how you doing?
Oh, just brilliant.
Oh, that's good. I always like the positivity in your response there.
Well, I mean, I could be negative, but I'm not going to be.
Well, I think that last time we recorded, you said wonderful.
Oh.
So brilliant, wonderful, fantastic superlatives that we agree on, yes.
Yeah, it just keeps it interesting. I could have been like, it's been awful, hell, and I just didn't
But
want to
that's
do
a
that.
lie.
Yeah.
Although, it's not technically not a lie because obviously we're back after a 2-week break.
We
And
are.
there's a reason for that.
Yes,
So
yes.
you weren't 100% peachy last week, were you?
No, I wasn't. Not
No.
even close. No. Yeah.
Do you want to give any kind of any movement from that situation? We spoke about what's going on the previous week.
Yeah,
obviously,
so- Yeah, I suppose I just had, obviously we all know that I'm going through legal things with my ex, and there was just a lot of tension and emotions last week.
we're not robots, and nobody should be expected to. I don't know, like there's a certain I'm sure in a lot of people can identify with this. When you have work and stuff, you have to kind of exist a certain way, and a lot of your so-called life baggage has to be checked at the door.
Yes,
But you can't do that in every aspect of life.
it's true.
And so we're often as single parents who work full time, you have to put a lot of your emotional energy and a lot of your conscious thoughts into that particular aspect of your life.
That's
work,
true.
family.
Yeah.
So when something else comes along that you have to take emotional energy and put it into that, well, you're limited in what you can actually do. So no one can begrudge you for that. And I know at the time you were kind of I don't really feel great. And so I said, well, do you want to not do the show?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, we can do it tomorrow. No, let's just skip
Yeah.
it. It's
and I
fine.
think, and in the end, I think it was best. I think at one point I messaged you going, I think I'm having a heart attack, but I know it's just a panic attack.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I'm close to tears and whatnot. And I'm like, although that might have been entertaining for people to hear,
sure.
it's not,
Me
it's not good
sobbing.
for you on a personal level. So,
No.
no, we don't need to do that. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, I didn't have the greatest week last week either. That
No.
weekend, yeah.
No, that's true.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I've had to go through some big changes at work through no choice of my own. Although work do like to sell it that way to the rest of the business.
Of
that
course.
it's like a mutual decision, but no, it's not.
No.
I've been I was on a secondment, and knowing full well that was basically because of my level of experience in the role was limited and from a long time ago. But being the kind of person I am, the skills I have are transferable. So my boss basically decided that she didn't want me to continue in the role because I didn't meet her style. Basically, nothing to do with my actual performance. There was just a couple of little nitpicky things that she didn't like in her, that fit her style.
Okay.
The job itself, I feel like I performed pretty well, and a lot of people do. So I was told that I would have to step back to a role that I had previously, which would mean a very substantial pay cut.
Yuck.
So I just went out and got another job.
Well done. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. And instead of having a pay cut, I'm having a very substantial pay rise.
Well deserved.
And interestingly enough, I'm going into a job that's the same as the job that I would be doing with the pay cut, but getting almost twice as much to do it.
Brilliant.
So why wouldn't I?
No, absolutely.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. But yeah, and I went to a wedding
Yeah, I
on
love
Sunday,
weddings.
which was fun.
I was
seeing
meant
people
to
in
have
love.
your daughter.
Yeah, but it's
She doesn't like my boys.
no, it's not about liking your
No, I know.
boys. It's just you live a shitload
I
of
know.
distance away, and it was just impractical. So, and it was easy enough just to take her to the wedding.
Cool.
Because originally it was kind of going to be a no kids, but it's more of a no kids under 5.
And they're
So,
awful kids. Yeah.
10-year-olds.
No offense to everyone who's got under 5s. We love them, but
Yeah, but in public,
No.
like in a gathering, they
No.
get bored.
they do.
And plus,
And tired
well, yeah, I mean,
and hungry.
You get to like 9 o'clock and they're done.
No.
Whereas Billy was kicking on and dancing,
Yeah.
and so like I have to be like, it's a school night, we have to get home.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mate's son was in the bridal party,
Oh,
and he's the
cute.
same age as Billy, and
There we go.
they've known each other since they were babies basically.
Yeah.
So that
it
was really good.
It was better then that
Yeah,
you took her.
and I got to catch up with a good mate who I really love, and so we spent some time together. And he's coming over for burgers tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Oh.
have burgers and beer, and
It's the way to do a Sunday.
yeah. So here we are, 2 weeks later.
I know. It's
Doing
been
another
forever.
show.
I know.
Yeah.
Woo.
So what are we talking about?
Like relationship type.
Okay. Do you want
know.
to elaborate further on what that means?
Well, I thought there was 3, then apparently there was 4. But so my understanding, and then you're going to obviously correct me if I'm wrong, is that the first one, the traditional one, is monogamy.
Yeah. Now we just need to define monogamy
Sure.
because mono means one,
It does.
gamy means married.
Yeah.
Okay. So monogamy technically is being married to one person. But in our society, we use the term monogamy to mean that you're only with one person regardless of marriage.
So relationship.
It should be called mononomy.
Ooh.
Because then when you get, monoamory, sorry, monoamory.
Oh, yes.
Because
Yes.
amory means love.
Yes.
So that's when you get to polyamory versus polygamy,
polygamy.
because the gamy part refers to marriage.
Right.
So polygamy is being married to more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
Polyamory, which is the acceptable form of it,
Is loving
is
lots.
loving more than one
Yeah.
person or being in a committed relationship with
Yeah.
more than one person. Polygamy is illegal.
It
You're not
is.
allowed to marry.
Except for in Utah.
Yeah, it's illegal there too.
Oh.
They just, like, they just do it. It's just
Right,
one of
okay.
those, like,
Sister wife.
you know, there's places in the world where smoking weed is illegal, but they just turn a blind eye
Yeah.
to it. You know,
I thought for some reason it was legal in Utah.
no,
there
I
you
don't
go.
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's like, it's
You just do
It's
it.
not even
'cause they're
a,
Mormons.
yeah, I think it's not even part of their doctrine anymore.
Yeah, right.
Like to have to be a polygamist.
Yeah.
Which is in a biblical sense called bigamy.
True. Yes.
So if you're a bigamist, that's the legal
Yeah,
term.
okay.
Bigamy is illegal.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm not going to go too far. I mean, I could Google it, but it's is polygamy illegal in Utah? I think from what I've heard listening to podcasts and other things that I've read, that it's not legal and it's also not part of the Mormon faith.
No,
It's
it's
just they allow it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know much about it. All I know is that there's the show called Sister Wife, and where they all sort of live happily together, and they're sister wives.
I think that when you run a cult, you set your own rules.
Is that how it works?
So, and let's face it, most religions are cults.
Okay, I need to just make this statement. Practicing polygamy in... Oh. Practicing, you can cut that. Practicing polygamy in Utah is no longer a felony crime for the first time in 85 years.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And when
So-
did that change?
2020.
Oh, there you go. So I'm going on old information.
Yeah.
So apparently maybe they got someone in charge who's a polygamist.
I would
Who's
say
like, let's
so.
change the laws because me and my four
Sister
14-year-old wives.
It's gross.
See, that's the thing with Mormonism. I've read
Yes.
some stuff on that. Is like the fact that they get married to children isn't
That's
the
wrong.
greatest. Yeah.
But like the shows that I watch about polygamy, it's often like women in their 20s and 30s, and and it all seems very happy.
Yeah, seems happy,
Yeah,
but
reality TV.
yeah. So from my reading on polygamy in Mormon faith, going back, to the turn of the previous century when it all, like Joseph Smith went and found the tablets, found the books underneath the tree that no one else could find.
It's brilliant.
And he came back and he set down his rules for Mormonism. Then he fell in love with his wife's 14-year-old sister, right? So in order to make it okay, he went back to the tree and found another golden book. And in the second golden book, it said it's okay to marry a 14-year-old girl. So he came back and said, I found another book and it said this is all right. So now we can marry children.
That's so good, isn't it? Good for him.
Lucky that the angel told him there was another book.
Lucky. Yeah. Have you seen the Book of Mormon?
No, I haven't, but I've read a couple of books about Mormonism.
I've seen the musical and it's hilarious.
No, the book I read was more of a non-fiction about how Mormonism was established, and I just found it super interesting.
It's crazy.
But so that's polygamy.
Okay.
As I said, and that's polyamory taken into the realm of marriage.
Interesting.
And because polygamy is illegal in most places in the world, polyamory is, it's socially acceptable. Well, it should be socially acceptable.
But it's not.
Not for everyone, no.
Okay, so, right, that's number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought number 3, I'm doing I feel like I'm on Sesame Street.
Yep.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Woo. I thought it was like open relationships.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically called ethical non-monogamy.
Yeah.
Right? The reason the word ethical is used is because it's agreed upon.
Right.
Because non-monogamy
is cheating.
Yeah. If it's ethical, that means that your partner knows about it. It's technically the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's ethical because everyone knows.
Okay.
So the term open relationship, I just think that's an old-fashioned term for people who like to we're in an open relationship, and that gives people an understanding because it's easy to understand. But I think it's like ethical non-monogamy is the technical term for it, so that's the term we should use.
Okay.
It's just that it's probably harder to understand, but that's the reason why it's called ethical non-monogamy. So as I was saying before, the whole open, it's a bit ambiguous, but it's the same thing.
Okay.
One thing that I do note.
Tell me.
Okay. That I read here. Okay. So as I was saying, polyamory specifically refers to multiple loving relationships, whereas ethical non-monogamy is any arrangement where people have multiple consensual romantic, sexual and or intimate connections.
Okay.
So intimate connection. You don't have to be physical with someone to have an intimate connection with them. So you could be chatting on the internet with someone on the other side of the world and have an intimate internet connection. So if your partner knows that you are having this intimate connection with someone else on the other side of the world, even if you never meet them, don't have anything to do with them, that is technically ethical non-monogamy.
Okay.
Because if they don't know,
that's cheating.
It's just non-monogamy. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
So it doesn't have to just be you're sleeping with someone.
But there's something more than just friendship.
Yeah, it's an intimate connection. It's not just being friends with someone.
Yeah.
It's like your deeper things.
Okay.
So just on that, do you think that there are people in ethical non-monogamous situations just because they are deeply connected to their friends? Do you think that's a line that's blurred there?
Oh, maybe.
Because you talk about like you might really love these people, but you don't have sex with them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Do you know anyone who's in that situation?
Not really, no.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I've got, in my entire life, I've had close friends who I will talk about anything with, which is technically intimate subject matter. And I have connections with lots of people, but I don't think it goes into that area. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't have to be, it's any ethical non-monogamy, any connection with multiple people.
I had a friendship with a girl friendship, and we were very close, like pretty much living together. And she had a boyfriend who actually said to her he found our friendship intimidating.
Right.
Yeah. So that was almost moving into that sort of like, it was.
See, I'm just thinking he's got some insecurity issues going on there. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of insecurity, sorry, just on a side note, that reminds me of conversation I had with Catalina this week.
Oh, hi, right? Catalina.
So,
do you know, I just want to say her fashion is always on point.
Oh, she looks great.
I know.
So she started chatting to this guy, and he prefaces everything with, "Oh, I'm sorry." Or I'm going to be out of contact for a few hours, you know, I'm going to be fishing, or I'm going to be doing this. You know, if I don't message you back, I'm doing this. Or, sorry, I didn't message you back. I'm sorry I didn't respond in time. And she's like, oh, that's a total green flag. He's communicating really well. I'm like, yeah, but it also could be trauma. Like, he could have been in relationships with people in the past who, we've spoken about this in previous episodes, people who freak out when you don't message them. So he might have had previous partners who have told him off for not responding fast enough. Catalina's secure enough that she's not going to worry too much about it. She knows people have jobs and, you know, lives.
Yeah.
But this guy obviously feels like he's somewhere, he's not secure enough in relationships to just be able to just let it go. And then if you're concerned, then bring it up with the person. But yeah, I think just apologizing, we're going back to what we're talking about. He's apologizing for something he doesn't have to apologize for. He's allowed to have a life. You don't have to keep going, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You know, like, so I feel sorry for the guy, really. There's obviously, he's got some, like, there's some deep-seated kind of emotional issues there where he feels like obligated to tell people what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's obviously maybe had some emotional abuse, but it's not, because let's be honest, emotional abuse and physical abuse goes both ways.
Like I just feel like he's probably been heavily criticized by someone, and yeah, it's left him with that kind of.
Do you know, I've seen it so often, like women in relationships, like I'm talking about women I know who are really awful and quite harsh to their partners, like, oh, you didn't do that, or you didn't do that. And I'm like, wow, if I talk to a man or anyone, I'd feel awful.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, like, you know, I think we always say that women are abused, but sometimes I think women are.
I think everyone has the potential to be abusive.
True.
Amber Heard. So, yeah, I think that, just to play devil's advocate once again, as I like to do, sometimes men are freaking lazy.
True.
And women get sick of their shit.
True.
So you do get over, like, you know, and I'm not, this might sound old-fashioned, but there are blue jobs and pink jobs around the house, right? Some things.
What, like flat packs?
Yeah. So I'm helping Skye put together some furniture today.
Because I'm useless.
Yeah, but see, we both live in single adult households, so there are no blue jobs and pink jobs. But in most marriages or relationships where people live together, there tends to default certain jobs that men do. And it's not because men or women are better at certain things. It's just like, well, that's, you know, your job. So, yeah. So sometimes when the blue job might be, oh, you take out the rubbish. How many times you have to ask him to do it? It's his job. You've agreed on it. It's not because it's a man's job or a woman's job. It's because you've agreed on it. You could agree on your role being unblocking the toilet drains.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's a man's job or a woman's job, it's a job you've agreed that you're going to do. And if you don't do it, then, you're going to be like, mate, you said you'd do this.
That's true.
But that comes into lots of places in relationships, doesn't it? It's like, stick to your word. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, So you've never been in an open polyamorous, anything like that. You are strictly monogamous, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but when it comes to that's when you get to that point in time where you have a committed relationship. That's where it lies. But the lines are blurred when you're dating early on
You're dating lots.
you date lots of people.
Yeah.
Until you make a decision that you're going to go to one person. So I think we all
Maybe.
are ethically non-monogamous when we're like, especially when we're on dating apps.
Yes.
It's an understanding that you are potentially being intimate, not necessarily physically intimate, but until you delete those apps and you say you're my girlfriend.
Then you can do
or you're
whatever.
that's what you're doing. So technically, we're all ethically non-monogamous at that early
suppose,
stages of dating.
yeah.
So yes.
But sometimes people aren't aware of that. Like,
Well, then they're living with their head in the clouds.
that's true. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, that's what's happening.
It's true. I watched this show called Bling Empire, right? It's very intellectual.
It sounds it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
Is it up there with Girls 5 Ever? Which I can't get out of my head. I said that wrong. Girls 5 Ever.
Yeah, 5 Ever. Well, it's reality TV, so it's slightly different.
So it's contrite. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about like Asian billionaires in America. Anyway, there's a point. My phone just fell off my chair.
Threw itself to its death. Yep. Go on.
So in this situation, these two people have just started dating. All of these people are very rich and have no concept of reality. Anyway, the guy was still dating and seeing people when they just started sort of thinking about seeing each other. And the girl found out that a few weeks before they went on this big date, he'd slept with someone else. So she lost it and was all like, I can't trust you. And then she made him go and do a lie detector test. It was crazy.
Yeah. But like I was saying, I think we should just I don't know
Chill
about
out.
the sex side of things,
Yeah.
but we should just kind of accept that when and I do, I'm thinking when I'm talking to someone online, I know they're talking to other people.
Yeah.
Whether they're dating those people or sleeping with
matter.
them, that doesn't matter. It's none of my business. It does until you've gotten to that point where you're not on the app. So it's happening.
Yeah.
So don't get upset about
But
it.
they do. People do
Yeah.
all the time.
Can I just can we go back to polyamory?
Sure.
Because within these, like we're talking about ethical non-monogamy, I think I read somewhere that all polyamorous relationships are ethical non-monogamous, but ethical non-monogamy is not polyamory.
Okay.
It's just like all burgers are sandwiches, but not all sandwiches are burgers.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Yum.
Today is National Burger Day,
Well,
and burger
wow.
shops all over the country are having massive specials.
Are they?
So when I leave here, I'm thinking about driving all the way to Currumbine, right? Which is going to be
That's a
an
long way.
hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
Because Charlie's Barbecue is doing triple cheeseburgers for $12.50.
Is that good?
That's yeah.
Okay.
A normal cheeseburger is normally that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
See
yeah.
how often I eat burgers?
See, for me, I haven't actually purchased a burger for a long time. I just
No,
make
but you
them.
just put them on Instagram and then I drool.
Yeah, the ones I make myself, yeah. But I'm like, man, I'm going to go out and let somebody make me a burger.
Do it.
Yeah, and then tomorrow I'm making burgers again. But it's all right. I'm
I'm going to do
it's
tacos.
within my macros. It's all good.
No, nachos. I'm going to do nachos for the boys.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to eat the mince.
Yeah, I was going to
some
say,
salad.
is there going to be protein in that?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Of course.
It's not a meal without protein.
Never.
Even if it's bloody chickpeas, you got to have how do
Yum.
people
I love
exist?
chickpeas.
It's really hard for vegetarians, I think, and vegan bodybuilders.
Very hard.
You would have to be having so much in the way of supplements and
Yeah.
and,
When I was doing a lot of powerlifting, I looked into going back into vegan land because I do like vegetarian. I was a vegetarian and vegan, but to get the protein that I needed insane. I'd just be drinking protein shakes all day.
Yeah, that's not great for
Like
you.
with vegan protein,
Do
obviously.
you fart heaps?
Of course you do.
Protein farts are brilliant. Somebody said to me recently, gee, you guys really go off on a tangent. And I'm like, yeah.
That's Damo and Skye.
That's I mean, come on. That's how people have normal conversations. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing. So,
Back to that subject.
Yeah. So, where did that tangent start? Oh, because
the
polyamory is ethically non-monogamous, but yeah. So, I did mention at the beginning that monogamy should be called monoamory.
Monoamory, yes.
Which is just a tongue twister because the gammy part refers to marriage, but we'll leave it at that. Anyway, types of polyamory.
Okay, I didn't know there was
subsets.
types.
Yes,
okay.
there are.
Go.
And I have polyamorous friends.
So do I.
Polyamorous friends. Hopefully they're listening and they can correct us. But this is my knowledge comes from having polyamorous friends and talking to them about how it works. And also
watching Sister Wife as well.
Yeah, well, not me, but and just kind of like reading about it. So if anyone's got any input. Last episode we did not mention our contact details or our social media. So let's do that right now. skyeanddamo@gmail.com.
Yes, that's our email. Insta is In My Lounge Room.
Mm-hmm. And In My Lounge Room podcast on Facebook. And there's YouTube as well, but there's only 2 videos on there.
Yes.
And it's too much hard work. So I'll get it there eventually.
Yeah.
And that'll be more of a back catalogue thing. So, yeah.
And make sure you subscribe on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever, however
Everything.
You're listening to us.
All the things. Do all the stuff.
And share.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Woo!
So we need a new intro like, hey, everybody. No. Anyway, so types of polyamory, which are all ethically non-monogamous.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yes.
Include. Mm-hmm. So this is not an exhaustive list.
Okay.
But hierarchical polyamory.
So is that where there's one in charge?
No.
Oh.
No, it's not about people being in charge. I think if there's relationships where someone's in charge, that's a kink.
Okay.
And that person's called a dom.
Right. Okay then.
But there is also topping from the bottom. Right?
Yes.
So your top is your dom, your bottom.
Yeah,
We're not talking about gay relationships, the top
no,
versus the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Psychologically speaking.
Yeah.
You can top from the bottom. So that's when the bottom is really in charge.
But the
top
thinks.
No, they know then.
Yeah.
Basically, the bottom controls what can and can't happen, right? The sub controls what can and can't happen. The sub really sets the rules. The top the dom doesn't get to do anything that the sub
says
doesn't
no
agree
to.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to just force people to do shit. Anyway, so
back to polyamory.
So it's taken us 4 goes to start this. All right, so. No, a hierarchical polyamory is when a couple is deemed the primary relationship.
Okay.
And that connection is prioritized any other secondary romantic relationships each half of the couple has. So rules may be put in place in order to preserve this hierarchy and limit secondary connections, such as the exercise of veto power, where each half of the couple is allowed to force the other half to end a secondary relationship for whatever reason.
Okay.
So let's say you got a married couple and husband gets a girlfriend, wife gets a boyfriend, right? But then wife doesn't get along with husband's girlfriend for any reason whatsoever. They
Kick to
can
the
say,
curb.
I don't want you dating that person. Ooh.
Does that just sound like fun or?
It doesn't sound like pain, but it doesn't. Okay,
Apparently
because no one can hear what's going on, the kids are screaming. They're playing Fortnite, I assume, or something like that.
And just so everyone's clear, I have 2 boys who are 6 and 9, so they're insane.
Yeah, they're doing their boy thing. It's all right.
Yeah.
I was a boy.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No.
I was a girl that coloured in and sang a lot.
Okay. But yeah, so getting back to the hierarchical polyamory.
All right, so basically, if you're the couple, you're in charge of who the other one can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not like it's all equal. So
Okay.
there's a primary couple and everyone outside of that. And it's also kind of like how many stems are there?
I was about to ask the question, like, how does that work?
Yeah, because but people I've known that are in polyamorous relationships, they themselves are only dating one person.
Yeah.
It's their partner who is then married to someone else. And then the wife in the main partnership is dating somebody else. So that's almost a hierarchical polyamory.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if it is, but because the married couple each have partners, but their partners don't have any other partners.
Okay.
But it's still polyamorous. So technically, even though you are only dating one person, you're not in a monogamous relationship. Even though you're being monogamous with your partner, you're technically in a polyamorous relationship because they've got another partner.
So confusing. Yeah.
We
We need like a chart.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, how many stems are there? Because
Yeah.
there could be situations in polyamory because, like I said, the amory part comes to love.
Yeah.
That's the difference. If it's just ethically non-monogamous, well,
It can be
you're
anything.
not committed to
No.
anybody. You can go and have casual relationships with people. I suppose there's a hierarchical ethical non-monogamy as well, where you do have a couple, and that's where the whole open relationship thing comes into it, where the couple, both parties of that couple, they're only in love and committed with each other. So everyone outside of that is on a different layer.
So I dated a guy who was in an open. Do I talk about that now or later?
Well, no, you can talk about that now. So was he in love with you?
So we dated for about 6 months. So that seems to be my average.
And he was married.
They were police officers.
Yeah.
And they'd made the decision because apparently it's about like an 80% like cheating like percentage.
Of police officers.
If 2 police officers are married,
Yeah.
there is an 80% chance that one or both will cheat. It's about 60% if one's a police officer.
Do you know that 70% of statistics are made up on the spot?
Well, I just made it up then. No, apparently that's it. I don't know. It could be a lie. That's what he told me.
Yeah. Don't you love that though? Because that within itself was made up on the spot.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so
I
they were
said
married and they decided to be ethically non-monogamous.
Correct.
Not to then... Now, were you in a relationship with him or were you having casual
No, I was in a
sex?
relationship
Well,
with
then
him.
that was polyamorous,
Well, there you
not
go. I didn't even know that.
open relationship.
Oh my God, I need
That's
to
why I don't...
change that.
Because they're all open. That's why I don't
Yeah.
like that term, because
Okay.
open relation, it's why we're saying ethically non-monogamous. Polyamory is ethically non-monogamous.
Yeah, 'cause I remember-
It is an open relationship,
'cause
but that was poly.
Okay, because I remember saying to him, am I meant to be getting feelings? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, am I or am I not? And he's like, of course you are. And
That's
I was
poly,
like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
But
And the
therefore-
only and I remember saying to him, I just can't handle being like he had 2 kids. And I was like, number 4. He's like, well, you're not number 4, Skye. Like, you're number 1 when I'm with you, but when
Yeah.
I'm with my wife, she's number 1.
So that tells me that you should not be in a poly relationship
Probably
because you
not.
can't handle not being the priority. Unless you are the primary, you shouldn't be involved in that
True.
kind of thing because
Yeah.
it made you feel like you weren't important. If you're going to be in that situation, so you now, let's define it, you were in a polyamorous
Cool.
relationship.
And I didn't
right?
even know it.
But you shouldn't have been because it
Maybe.
made you not feel important. I think
Yeah.
that's like if you're going to enter into this, whether you are in the primary relationship or you are the one with the multiples, because that's, I think, like people go, oh, I'm poly. Well, do you have multiple love partners or are you just sleeping around?
Yeah.
Are you just ethically non-monogamous and you like to say you're poly because it's a little bit more acceptable?
Yeah. Sounds a little bit less awful.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
are you the third wheel, so to speak, where you just kind of like you like that person so much that you're, and don't let this be too much of a criticism, but you were doing it because maybe of a need to be there, and so you kind of went, I'm going to tolerate this because it lets me be in a relationship.
Maybe. At the first, I didn't mind it. It was when, like, things were cancelled because of her.
Yeah.
That annoyed me.
So does that what I'm saying there is you've got to have a real high level of self-assuredness
So
to
I was
be in
True.
that position, to be
I don't
one of
think
the additionals.
I was never jealous of her. It was more that I just didn't know where I sat. I say to him, so Christmas Day, what's the deal? And he's like, well, it's her and the kids. And I'm like, okay.
So why couldn't it be her and the kids and you?
I don't know. And I would have been fine with that because he'd send her photos of he and I together and vice versa. And then
Did you meet her?
I never met her, but I talked to her on the phone.
Okay. Because people that I know of that have been poly or are poly, they know their partner's other partner.
Yeah. So we probably would have gotten to that point, and she liked me based on what he'd told, and he'd send her. It was all fine from that point, but I just never felt like I knew where I stood.
Yeah.
And that was probably the problem.
Can I just address also something that's popped into my head?
Sure.
A common misconception of polyamorous relationships is that just because you're in a polyamorous relationship doesn't mean you're having group sex.
Yeah, there was definitely no group sex
Because
in
I
this.
think people are like, oh, so that guy's got 2 girlfriends. Do they have threesomes? Well, no. His girlfriends aren't bisexual.
No.
And even if they are,
They're not necessarily attracted
to each other.
Yeah.
That's not what
This
it's
is
about.
not the Playboy Mansion.
No, I mean, I'm not defining it for all because that might happen. There might be thruples, for example, where all 3 or multiples,
I've heard of that.
quintuples,
Yes.
where all of them are involved in a sexual relationship together.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works every time.
No, there was an article recently that's all very dramatic about 4. So there was 2 couples who then became 4.
Yeah.
Became 4 people. Became 2. Anyway, they
2
went into
couples, a pair of pairs. What do you call 2 pairs? A pair of pairs.
Yeah. Anyway, they started a polyamorous relationship, and then both girls fell pregnant, and no one knows who the father is.
Ooh.
And I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me, but there is so much negativity surrounding this.
Oh yeah. So that comes back to how many stems of the relationship are there? Because is there how far can you stretch your love?
I don't
Because
know.
ethically non-monogamous, well, yeah, you could probably do that with 15 people.
Easy.
But if you're polyamorous, emotions are involved. So you might be able to love 2 people, but can you love 5 people, or is that just too much?
Well, I don't know. You can love your children and your partner. Is that?
Yeah.
And some people have 5, 6, 7, 20 children.
Yeah, I mean, and I love food.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
I love my cat.
Exercise.
Yeah. Different kind of love. So look, I'm just going to continue. We're going to wrap up hierarchical polyamory because it goes on to say, the agreements to force the other half to end their secondary relationship or whatever, or explicit agreements on time spent, which we just kind of dabbled into, is there doesn't sound like in that relationship you're in that there was any agreements. It was just kind of you were secondary, and so therefore that was a hierarchical polyamory because his wife was the primary and you were the secondary, unfortunately. And it dictates the type of, or can dictate the type of sex one can have with the secondary partners, or what to do in the event of pregnancy with a secondary partner, and so on.
Happened.
So we just discussed that.
Yeah.
But the type of sex, in your primary relationship, there might not be, you might have really kinky, there might be fantasy role playing, there might be, BDSM or whatever, but because of the level of intimacy that you're allowing your partner to have with the secondary, it might be you're not allowed to have that kind of sex.
Yeah.
You're only allowed to have this kind of sex with them because then you don't cross that line into where we sit as the primary couple.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I had sex with this person, and I was at his house, and we were just going to go back to his bedroom, and I was like, no. That's your married room, and it took me. It took me, and then I calmed down.
Yeah.
But it just was such a new experience for me.
Yeah, no, it wasn't where you you had been previously.
No, I'd been
so, yeah.
very monogamous. Sorry.
Yeah.
What is it again?
No, monogamous is the word that everybody uses.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the word we
But
use.
then I relaxed and I was fine. But the first couple of times I was like, no, that's like
Anything's
cheating.
weird the first couple of
Yeah,
times.
true.
I mean, like, you know, if you've never had some... I see. Why does everything come back to food with me? Because I think about, like, you know, certain cuisines from
True.
certain countries
Yeah.
where there's flavors you're not used to. Like, you might taste something and go, "Oh my god, what the hell is what's that all about?"
Yeah.
Like durian, for example. Okay, you're aware of durian, the fruit?
Yes.
Smells
I don't
like
think
vomit, right?
Yes.
So
I've never eaten it though.
neither
have
have
you?
I. No, I haven't. But apparently, it tastes really great.
I don't know. Anything
So-
that smells like vomit.
No,
Ooh.
but
Yeah.
if you eat it, you might love it. And
True.
so then when you smell it, you're not as disgusted by it because you know that it's going to be followed by
Good
this
point.
beautiful flavor. So, yeah. So when you first go into something like, this is creepy and weird, it's like wearing glasses for the first time. Like,
Yeah.
after all, you don't even know. It's like, until I just mentioned that I'm wearing glasses, I
You've
don't see
forgotten.
the frames. But
Yeah.
now I see them. It's just like me saying you normally can't see your nose, but now you can, right?
It's a bit like for some of us who are like super pretty, we just forget that we're pretty.
But I'm just going to, that's a brain trick out there. So everyone listening to this podcast now can now see their nose.
Yeah.
Because normally, doesn't even matter if you look left or right, you don't see your nose.
You don't.
Your brain blocks it out. It eliminates it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you think about seeing
Well, I
your
can
nose,
see it.
you can see it.
can
You
see
look
my
down, you're
nose.
like, oh, there's my nose. Yeah.
Well, I can see
Anyway,
it. Yeah.
brains are funny things. So let's move on to the next type
Yes.
here. So non-hierarchical polyamory is everyone involved is treated as an equal and an individual who has equal rights to everyone else, and there is no focus on a couple pair bond.
So that would require a lot of like voting and communication.
Yeah, but everyone's equal. So it'd be like, that was the situation we just discussed where, let's say you're bisexual in a polyamorous relationship. So let's say, hypothetically, I'm dating someone and then they're dating the girl that I'm also dating, and there's another guy and we're all bi. So the four of us all share each other.
Yeah.
So I can have sex with all three of them, and each of them have sex with all three of us. We all hang out, like if I want to go shopping with Dave and Mary and Sue on different occasions, like me and Sue can go shopping, and then Dave and I can go and play golf.
Yes, it
Or,
sounds pretty
and
awesome.
then Mary and Dave can go have sex and then
Yeah.
go to a movie, and then we all can just kind of keep a diary going, hey, maybe we live together
Yeah.
and we all kind of love each other. We might
Yeah.
all sleep in the same bed. We might have a few different beds, but we communicate on, hey guys, Dave and I are going to be hanging out this weekend. Do you guys want to be involved, or are you going to be off like crocheting, whatever,
Yeah.
doilies, You communicate. That sounds really lovely.
It does. Does it work though?
Works for some, otherwise it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a thing,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So I wonder how many people are in that kind of... Because I don't know anyone. I've never met anyone at that level.
I don't know anyone either.
Most people I know are in hierarchical
Hierarchical.
polyamory, where there's a primary couple and then people
Yes.
out on offshoots of that.
I think it sounds better than hierarchical. I think it sounds fun. Like you've
Hell
got like
yeah.
3 best friends.
Yeah, and people and imagine like house meetings.
Yes. You'd
Like-
have like there'd be votes and
You
there'd
could
be
kind
like
of-
teams.
All right, guys. So, good. But then I suppose, all right, so let's talk about things like home decor. Right. You and your
4.
partner might not necessarily agree on the colour of the walls and the type of
Yes.
carpet and whatnot.
Yeah.
If there's 4 of you, 3 or 4 of you, and what happens when there's arguments?
I don't know how
Do
that
you
works.
so it
it means
get to
they're
side.
voting?
You get to side with people, I suppose.
Oh,
yeah.
could be very dramatic though. Like, or it could
be
just work
interesting.
really well.
I don't know, but that's just
It
another
does sound
time.
awesome because you think about it like, I don't know, for most people in relationships, they don't necessarily have the same hobbies, but maybe like Steve and Jane have the same hobbies. So they like to go off and, I don't know, do pottery. And that works really well for the other 2 who can't stand pottery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds great.
Yeah, it'd be great. So the next thing here is polyfidelity.
Okay.
Okay, which sounds like something that we've
Sounds like
written
a
on
movie.
on an album that you buy.
Oh, yeah.
Recorded with Polyfidelity in Dolby. Multiple levels of Fidelity. So polyfidelity is a specific arrangement where 3 or more people agree to be romantically committed only to each other and not to seek new partners. This is similar to monogamy, which is a closed relationship between 2 people, except polyfidelity has more than 2. So I think that the people that I know who have been in polyamorous relationships are practicing polyfidelity because if they went and sought a relationship with a person outside of that group without approval of their partner, that's cheating on the relationship dynamic of the all of the people involved. So even if you're in like a non-hierarchical polyamory where there's a whole group of people all loving each other equally, if you step outside of that group of 3 or 4 people, you are breaking the bonds of fidelity within that group.
Okay.
Because that's the unethical. But you have to do it ethically.
I mean, I just thought that you just didn't cheat if you were in a polyamorous or monoamorous relationship.
Yeah, or you call it ethical non-monogamy and you do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Solo polyamory.
I've heard of this.
Okay.
This sounds...
An individual who does not wish to be part of a couple, to be tied to any hierarchical arrangements, or to ride the relationship escalator of love, cohabitation, marriage, children.
So aren't they just single?
So going back to our deal breakers, the person who said they're not into cohabitation, are they solo polyamorous?
So I'm confused though. Aren't they just single?
Instead, this individual has multiple romantic relationships without the expectation of any of these things.
Isn't this just single?
That's ethical non-monogamy. Which polyamory is.
Yeah.
Some solo polyamorous people see themselves as their own primary and conduct their relationships while still viewing themselves as single. This type of... That's called having your cake and eating it.
Yes.
This type of polyamory is best suited to people who greatly value their own independence.
So they're single.
They're people who can't make commitments.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just really selfish.
They don't want to step past that point where, I wouldn't call them selfish, but they're
absorbed.
No, that's also negative. They're making themselves the most important person, which is fine. And I always say that to people. The most important person in your relationship or in your life is you and should always be. So the solely polyamorous person, solely. Oh my God. Okay, so the solo polyamorous person is basically staying at that stage of dating where they just don't want to commit.
So they just want to have fun.
Yeah, so...
Like the girls.
So what, everybody?
What?
Everyone?
Yeah, all of us.
You know, like when you're dating
single,
and you're single, like if you go, I'm going to be single, I'm not going to get into committed relationships, but I want to get more deeply emotionally involved with people than just casual sex. But I want to do that with lots of people. So therefore, I don't have to make a commitment for long term with anyone. So you're a single person.
So you're single. Yes, because I matched with this guy. In fact, I may have even sent you a message, who is solo polyamorous.
Yeah, okay.
And I remember reading that going, and then I Googled it and I was like, I just don't understand what that means. I feel like that just means single.
I don't want to make a life commitment.
Yeah. Why don't you just say that?
Yeah. This to me, I think the do not want to cohabit, be married, have children. I just want to stay at this point of relationship because I am not emotionally secure enough to handle a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
Sorry to anyone out there who's solo polyamorous, but even committed polyamorous people are secure enough to ride that relationship wave. There's nothing wrong.
If anyone is solo polyamorous, can you email us? And tell us why, what you like about it. What's the difference between being single and solo polyamorous? I can't even say it.
I think it comes down to you get to
have your cake and
have
eat it too.
intimate relationships with people. And when I say intimate, on an emotional level, but at the same time not make any level of commitment. Like,
that's the story of my life.
And then you can say to people, well, I feel single, but I'm not acting single because I'm defining it, because I'm telling you up front that I will be having relationships with other people. You think that's it?
But isn't that just dating?
Yeah, but they've drawn
2022?
Yeah, but they've also drawn the definition that they're not going to go past that, because when you're dating someone, there's always the potential.
There's an end game.
Yeah. There's always the potential that
you'll stop dating
you might
everyone
stop
else.
dating everyone else and become monogamous, or you are polyamorous and you will get into a committed relationship with multiple people. These people are just playing the early stages of dating and are going, yes, I have feelings for you, but I also have feelings for other people, but neither of you are going to tie me down.
Yeah. So I'm just going to have fun, but be a little bit emotional.
We sound like we're really criticising these people. We're not.
No,
but
it's
that's
just
what it comes across.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do whatever you want, but I just don't know. I just feel like when you're dating someone and you're seeing them regularly and you're dating them a lot, that the feelings happen and the commitment eventually happens.
They do, whether they happen with multiple people or not. And so even if you do, if you're like solo polyamorous and you're dating 3 people and you have feelings for all 3 of those people, and those 3 people, because they're aware that they're one of 3, what you still got their feelings to think about. So a solo polyamorous person can only date other solo polyamorous people, because normal, you shouldn't use that word, but standard polyamory, okay, they still want a commitment. They still want to be in a relationship with you.
Oh, it's not.
That's
I would
complicated.
be And this guy that I never even went on a date with him because it was just weird. No, it was just he was quite unusual, and he was really one of those, like, sometimes he'd message and sometimes he wouldn't, and he was also bisexual, so he definitely was having his cake and eating it too.
Yeah. Okay, so there's other types of ethical non-monogamy, or consensual non-monogamy is another way of putting it.
Okay.
Which are not polyamory.
Right.
Okay. Which includes swingers in committed relationships. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, whenever I think of swinging, I just think of, like, did you ever see Louis Theroux's documentary? It was so bad.
On swinging? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think I watched a lot of Louis Theroux, and he's brilliant.
I love him. Yeah.
Is he still making films?
I don't know, but his swingers one was so funny. He must have chosen, like, the worst group of swingers ever.
Oh, that's his thing, though. He dabbled in extremes, like into the rednecks and the religious extremists. And,
don't get me started on them.
So
swingers, go.
There's people who participate in casual recreational sex with other couples or singles. Swinging commonly involves partner swapping and group sex, such as one half of a partner joining another couple for a threesome, or both couples having foursomes together. Ethical non-monogamy, swinging.
Okay.
Monogamish.
Ooh.
Haven't heard of this one. Monogamish people in committed relationships who are primarily monogamous, but will occasionally dabble in casual sex if the opportunity arises. This is different from swinging, as monogamish people make outside connections the exception rather than the norm.
And it's a physical thing, yeah?
Giving hall passes to their partner for casual sex. So it's the hall pass. So, like, let's say, you're like, honey, I met this guy. He's really awesome. I think I'm going to have sex with him. It's only going to be one time, but he's really, like, you'd be like, yeah, cool, go do the sex.
So one of my good friends, her husband, so she's bisexual. I don't think he is, but they sort of have an open relationship. But he went to the US a couple of years ago, and she said, this is your whole pass. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever you want.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah, but he didn't.
I think that there's another category in there, which I don't know if it's in there, but like and this is where the open relationship part of it comes into it, because, and I think that's one of the things I mentioned here, like, when you're ethically non-monogamous, it's about the communication, and it may well be, okay, so here's this person that I'm going to be having sex with. I'm not in love with them, but you know that it's happening. Or it's, I know my partner's having sex with other people. I just don't know who they are and how many there is. So that leads into open relationships, people in committed relationships who are free to date other people. In everyday speech, it's commonly understood that the two halves of the couple are romantically monogamous, but sexually non-monogamous.
So I can speak openly about this. My sister's husband had at least one affair that we know of, right? And she never really got over that. So she'd always be like, I think he's doing it again, et cetera, et cetera. And I always said to him, well, maybe you need to, and said to her, maybe you need to make that decision. Either you fully trust him and know that he's, or you just go, okay, he's probably having sex with other people and I'm okay with that because he's my husband. But she was like, I can't do that either. But I'm always like, if you know that he's that type of person, then just ask him to be safe and move on.
Yeah, it's not. Sorry, microphone. I got told off for doing that.
Yeah.
Nathan actually said, he's like, man, so frustrating when you move away from the microphone. That's because he's like, and you tell Skye off for it.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, we were discussing the technicalities of the types of microphones we use. I use a dynamic microphone with a cardioid pattern. I have to be right in front of it.
Yeah.
Tech nerds out there will understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But basically, I need to be within 5 centimeters of the front of my microphone. Otherwise, it won't pick up my voice because the whole point is it's designed to not pick up anything outside, which keeps it nice and quiet. Your microphone will pick up a fly doing a fart on a wall.
Yes, that's why my dog is not allowed in my study.
So, it's just a different type of mics. And I forget about that. I need to stay on my mic. And secondly, I use software which eliminates noise cancelling software so that we don't hear the cars and the children and stuff and makes us sound like we're in a studio. So if the second I move away from my microphone, the software goes, oh, that's not a primary voice. We need to eliminate it. Anyway.
Cool. Also, that's why I sit in my hands so that I sit right, because you know me, I talk a lot with my hands, but then I tend to be like, woo, everywhere. So if I sit in my hands, I have to sit still.
I do it too, but I think it's normal. So yeah, it's open relationships refer to multiple romantic connections as well. I mean, it's just it's all comes under ethical non-monogamy.
Yeah.
Everything. The polyamory, polygamy, which is just being married.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the last thing here, relationship anarchy.
Ooh. What's that?
Well, this is more of a life philosophy than a lifestyle choice.
It sounds fascinating.
But it's worth including, I suppose. In essence, a relationship agony is
anarchy.
Oh, that's a Freudian connection to something I'm not aware of. Relationship anarchy is the idea that romantic relationships should not be ranked as inherently more important than sexual/platonic relationships, and that each individual connection should be treated on a case-by-case basis, and that people should customize their connections according to what works best for each pair bond, rather than adhering to social expectations of how a relationship should function. So what you were just saying about your sister's ex-husband, maybe we should think less about what society expects and just think about what works for you and not worry about other people's criticisms, because really it's none of anyone's business how you choose to conduct your relationship. If that works, if just going, well, my partner is someone who likes to have sex with multiple people, I don't, I'm going to let them do that, go for your life.
Yeah.
The fear is, though, that people are going to look at you like you're weak, or you're letting them get away with this. I think there's another kink term, right? A cuckold.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So the cuckold is a man who allows other men to have sex with his wife, often in front of him, and it's a dominance thing.
It's a Shakespearean term as well.
Yeah. So the cuck is the guy. So so that's like being mentally cuckolded. So if you're just allowing your partner to go out and do what they want, but at the same time, it's what's that term cognitive dissonance comes into it as well, where you can just go, I'm not seeing it, not hearing about it, therefore it's not happening. Be safe.
I mean, if you've got a very steady, happy marriage or relationship other than that, and then when you're together, it's perfect, then
that might make it happy.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I used to always say to her. Like, if everything else is working fine, then do it that way. Obviously, now they're getting a divorce, but at the time when she was so focused, I was like, hey, this is the type of guy he is, but he's, supporting you and you've got 2 beautiful kids. Just go with it. Yeah.
So do you think that, I mean, if we were going to give advice, which we're not really qualified to do, but if I was going to give advice to anyone when it comes to relationship types, it's do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
And no one else has any right to criticize or judge you for how you do that.
But amazingly, when I was in that, now that I know, a polyamorous relationship.
Do you feel more empowered by that, by the way?
So empowered. I got so much flack. So much. Don't you know, I could never do that.
Tough shit.
Yeah. And obviously all the singles groups, they always talk about it. And a mutual friend of a friend, I know he's polyamorous. And so I've seen comments from him, but a lot of people are all about jealousy. That's where they focus.
Yeah.
I can't share. I'm a jealous person.
That's a you problem.
Yeah.
And maybe you're jealous of the fact that polyamorous people are really emotionally secure and grown up.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of polyamorous groups, but there's not many polyamorous people in Mandurah, so I've sort of given up. But there's nothing wrong about it.
No.
It almost makes sense.
You know what's wrong? It's unrelated, but somehow the same philosophy. You and I have both got tattoos.
We do. Yeah.
Now, just about everyone I know has tattoos. Okay. I also know people who don't have any tattoos.
Same.
I don't give a shit.
Same.
Makes no difference. Now, going back to, I think it might have been the 90s, okay? Tattoos, and that's even just short time ago, but it's something I heard somewhere was the difference between people with tattoos and people without tattoos is people with tattoos don't care if you don't have tattoos.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, people without tattoos will go, ugh, I could never have a tattoo.
Right.
You know what? I don't care. I don't give a shit what you do to your body or don't do to your body. It's like people will do all sorts of things that you will find weird. Good on you. People might, and this is a thing. Have you heard about the pain Olympics? Okay, this is a kink.
Right.
The way that people get off sometimes involves getting a hammer and belting yourself in the testicles with it.
I mean, I just hurting yourself with a hammer in general. It's not my thing.
Don't care though.
No, I don't judge people.
No. Go for your life. As long as you're not hurting someone else, masturbate however you want.
Right? Totally.
And that's why I think the stigmatism around masturbation, for example.
100.
I'm so happy that it's changed from even when I was a kid, because things like sex toys and whatnot, they're so acceptable, even for men. There's fleshlights and although I do find just on that, your dolls,
yes.
the real dolls and stuff. There was a bodybuilder who married his real doll.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you've taken that to a next level, because it's basically just something that you put your dick in.
Yeah.
It's a hand simulator, more than a it's a dead body simulator, because they don't give you any feedback. You're having sex with a simulated dead body.
Yes. Oh, maybe, yeah.
Machines are okay. There's all sorts of different types of devices that you can help to use. You get off. You've heard of Sybians? Have you ever seen a Sybian?
Yes, I have.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Those things Howard Stern has one, and he gets women in there and they hop on it and then they turn it up and see how long it takes to orgasm.
Really?
And some of them it's it's not going to happen. 8 seconds later, holy Christ, because these things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But machines and dildos and vibrators and
Yeah.
fleshlights and,
Fine.
you know, pussy sleeves. I think like
Yeah.
that's all good. But when it's like a body,
Yeah.
I kind of draw the line. I'm
I
like,
agree. Yeah.
That's a representation of a human being that doesn't move, that
Yeah.
stares blankly into space. But
That's a kink.
also, that's a kink.
Yeah, it is a kink.
With I want you to lay there and just stare into space.
Yeah, like
and
a
I
dead
think
person.
I've spoken to people who have told me about. Actually, yes, I have.
Yeah.
I know someone who had sex with someone who wanted them to not move and not look, like just to stare. They're like that. And they're like, "What you want? Like, so you want me to act like I'm dead?" They're like, "Yeah, basically."
Oh.
Yeah, stare at the ceiling and don't. And
There
just
was
so
a thing on one of the groups actually where like I showed it to our mutual friend Sarah. Is it Sarah? Yeah.
Sarah, yeah. We'll go with
and
that.
one girl posted like.
Does she know she's Sarah, by the way?
I don't
She
know
knows
if she
she's Sarah?
does.
Yeah.
I'll let her know. Yeah, where it said guys don't make noise during sex. It's a thing. And I was like, it's not a thing. It's a thing for you because clearly you're not having sex maybe. But yeah, I found that really weird.
Guys don't. I'm confused.
Hang on. Let me find it.
So the guys they've had sex with don't make noise, or they don't like them making noise.
I don't know. It was really weird. Hang on. Let me find it.
I got told
Here.
off for not making noise when I was having
Friday
sex once.
funnies. Why are men silent during sex? And I'm like,
What kind of men are you having sex with? I'm not silent, that's for sure.
that's weird. I mean, weird. It's just what?
You might not like talk.
No, I mean,
But-
not everyone's a talker.
I don't know. I think some men or women as well probably don't make any noise until right to the point of climax.
I mean,
Like,
maybe, but
or maybe that person's watched a lot of porn
silent porn.
and when they have actual sex,
They're confused because there's
Yeah.
not as much noise.
there's not as much noise because it's not as faking it.
Yeah.
But then again, now you think about it, in porn, the men don't tend to make much noise unless they're going, "Yeah, you love it, call me daddy." You know,
It's the girls making all
the
the
girls
noise.
are making all
Yeah,
the noise. So
all
maybe
the
that's where the
noise.
perception was. Is like, they haven't had sex with many people,
Yes.
right? Or B, they've watched porn where the woman's making all the noise.
Yeah, and the men no, they don't make any noise. I'm going with the first though. I feel like they haven't had sex
with many
much.
people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I just found that weird. When I showed her that, I was like,
Do you want to do some research?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Do I have to do research where I'm having sex with men?
Yeah.
Or is this just...
Yeah. That's what I'm. There's just like this comes into like the polyamory. Just have like 6 or 7 men. That's a scientific research. Put it like
Research.
ad in like,
Research.
medical journals. You'd have like a whole bunch of men lined up, and you just spend like I don't know 20 minutes. How long do men have sex for? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
2.5
Depends.
minutes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
Maybe that's the thing as well, because depending on how long the sex
Yeah,
is
there's
going
no
for, they
foreplay.
haven't had time to get to the point where they
Yeah.
make noise.
I don't know.
Weird.
I know.
Okay, for the record, I definitely do not remain silent when I'm having sex because that would be creepy.
That's what I mean. There's no silence. Silence.
Some
Like,
people
just
might
breathing.
want it though, like shh, 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 shh. No noise, please. You're
They're
ruining my
librarians.
focus. Yeah.
Maybe that's how librarians like to have sex. in
Maybe
complete
these
silence.
guys are just so concentrated because I think a lot
Or
of
trying
like,
not to come.
Yeah. Like
Maybe
they're
that's what
counting,
it
they're
is.
doing maths in their heads. Like, it's calculating physics and
Yeah.
stuff to keep themselves distracted.
1's 2 is 2.
Yeah.
2's a 4.
I'm going to the shop. I'm going to buy some milk and some bread and a box of cookies and sausages. Oh! It's just like, what? No silence at all. Did you come? Yeah. Well, you didn't make any noise, but you don't have to make. Oh man, surely you make noise.
I don't know. That's what I mean. When I saw that, I was like, what? I'll do
So
some
what were the
research.
comments like?
Oh, let's have a look.
Did people like go, "What are you talking about?" Or are there women out
no.
there who agree?
I think there's a bit of everything. So, a guy said, if he is, then you're not doing it right. Another,
sorry, but you're not doing it right
Yeah.
either.
right.
It's two of you're not doing it right. Sorry, partnership involves two.
Too busy concentrating on not blowing their load too
Yep.
quickly. That's a girl.
Yeah.
Because we're saying our times tables.
Yeah. So a guy said that because we're saying that's exactly what we just said.
Hang on. Remember the old Batman? Especially when I hit the spot, it's going to sound like that. I'm the Batman. Is that what he means? I don't understand.
I don't know. That was yeah.
Because they don't want to show their emotions.
Because like making noises is.
Some of us are thinking of dinosaur bones and what happened to them so hard to make sure that we don't come early. So
Yeah.
thinking
Okay.
of things.
All right.
I'm just going through, see if there's any others. I can't answer that question. I don't understand it because I'm not having sex. Okay. Well, I hate those. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I don't have sex because, women don't like me.
Trying to remember your name, or what a loser.
Funny.
This girl they can't make noise with a gag in their mouth, so she's sort of kink shaming there.
Or she's like saying
She's into that kink.
She's saying I like to gag a man so he can't make noise. Or if he's like, I don't know, there's certain parts of the time when you're using your mouth.
That's true.
So you're not making noise.
I'm just going through. Oh, one guy's being like, "Girl, I'm so loud, your neighbor's gonna know you're getting some."
Yeah. Make sure we've got mirrors so I can. Makes me think of bloody Patrick Bateman.
Yes.
Christian Bale.
Yes.
From, when he's flexing in the mirror when he's having sex with that girl.
I do 100 sit-ups.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'm not worried about you. I'm just looking at how hot I look while I'm fucking.
This one, because they're dead. Okay.
Oh shit.
Just quietly counting the strokes to try and beat their record.
That's funny. Yeah.
We know women don't want to hear us enjoying ourselves. Okay. All right. Only enough blood for one head.
Okay. I do like the comedians in this thread.
Busy thinking about grandma and the Holy Lord.
Oh.
That's a bit.
If you're thinking about your grandma while you're having sex, you've got some other shit going on.
If I'm quiet, it's because I'm sucking on something.
I am sex lord.
They've forgotten what her name is.
That dude's wearing a fedora for sure.
Totally.
Yep.
Because they can't breathe.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they're telling you something.
That's once again blaming the other person for. I just hate that whole. If you're not having good sex, it's the other person's fault.
Yeah,
you know what? Maybe you're just not good at sex either.
Yeah. But don't forget, girls always have to get themselves wet. So.
Ah, yes. I had a conversation with a friend about that.
Oh, did you?
So this guy, I know he's gay, and he messaged me, and while he was, it was his first episode.
Yeah.
And he's listening to the show, and he was talking about I was talking about the Bushman's blow.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he said he's so funny. And then he went on further, and I said, "Oh, you just wait," because he said, "You guys, this is just hilarious." I said, "Oh, wait till you get to Skye's bedroom story."
Yeah.
And 20 minutes later, he's messaged me, and he's like, "Oh my God!" Mm-hmm. He said, "If a guy ever said that to me, I would kick them in the balls so hard they'd piss blood for a week."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
I should have, but I was just in shock. I was like, "Who the fuck
Who
says this?"
that?
Yeah.
Oh, Casanova.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Anyway, we've kind of wrapped up the show with sex talk. And what kind of weirdos are out there expecting other people to meet their expectations? Put in some effort.
No, apparently not.
No, it's someone else. That's that poor person's probably blames themselves, but
I'm going to be doing times tables now whenever I have sex, but I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to be like, I'm just doing it for you.
Yeah, but that's the opposite. Where the man in that situation, in that thread, he's saying we're doing our times tables so we don't come.
Yeah.
Whereas the woman the other way is going, fuck, I could count to 3,000 here because I'm not going to come.
and I'm just going to do my shopping list and
because I
everything
know
else.
that you're not
Yeah.
going to make me come, so
Yes.
I may as well, because, I already had to make myself wet. So when you're gone, I'm going to be like, that's why you kick him out. It's like, so
Right.
I can finish this.
Exactly.
And I know that sounds like I'm joking, but
No, it's true.
there is a lot of women who have to do that.
We haven't it's a subject we probably need to do a whole hour on.
Is why don't women get to have orgasms? Why? No, why? Men.
Correct.
Anyway, that's enough for today.
I agree.
We've plugged our socials, but please message us if you've got anything you want to talk about. If you know us, then we're sorry if we if you don't. I was talking to Nathan. I started to tell him some story about something. He goes, "Yeah, no, man. I listened to the show." He's like,
That's it.
He's like, you talk about that on the show.
We're
He
so
"I'm aware."
unoriginal. We talk about,
he's-
oh my gosh.
No, he's like, yeah, no. He goes, I get to hear about your life every week. But anyway, so yeah, that'll
cool.
do.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah,
Awesome.
now we have to go build some furniture.
We certainly do.
Yeah.
Well, you do, and I get to watch and cheer.
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to In My Lounge Room. Intro music written and performed by Damien McKay. This week's outro song was performed by Damo's band 12-Inch Shifter, written by Damien McKay, except for that one riff that we stole from Cliff Burton, James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich.